So here we're going to look at the different general types of transport. We have active transport and we have passive transport. In general, passive transport, you're going to want to remember a couple of things about passive transport. First of all, you're not going to require any energy for this. This is where we go from high concentration to low concentration. This is what we call a concentration gradient. All right, so you can see here all these purple molecules. This is going to be high concentration of purple molecules. There's only two purple molecules over here, low concentration over here. So they're going to move from high concentration to low concentration. It's kind of like a little bit of pressure, like crowd pressure, all right? That's going to allow them to move across that. And we call that the concentration gradient. All right, no energy is required. It's just moving against this, or moving with the concentration gradient. All right. We would say if it can just go directly through the membrane here, we would call that simple diffusion. Okay. We also have the same type of mechanism where they go through a channel or through a carrier protein. And we'll go into specifics about that in a little bit. All right. And then we have active transport. Active transport requires energy in the form of ATP. All right, and this is where we have molecules that are moving against their concentration gradient. All right, the pressure is meant to push, or the pressure would be the concentration gradient should be going in the opposite direction. But what we want to do is we want to pump it against the concentration gradient. So if you look here, we have five of these little yellow balls and one yellow ball here. If we were using passive transport, it would go from this high concentration a low concentration. But what we want to do is we want it to go the opposite direction. All right, we want to take this little yellow molecule and pump it against that resistance over here. Okay, so we're going to have a pump to do that, and that pump's going to have to be powered. Same thing here. If you look here, they look like little graham crackers. All right, these little squares here. All right, there's 5 over here and 2 over here. All right, in order to take those 2 and dump them over here, you're going to have to require energy. So we call this active transport. So let's think of this in an analogy. For passive transport, imagine you're going to be rolling a ball down a hill. You don't really need to push it. It just rolls down on its own because it knows where it wants to go. All right, this is kind of what molecules do in passive transport. They move from a crowded place, which is the high concentration, to a less crowded place, which is low concentration. And again, you don't need any energy to do this. Active transport, now imagine you're trying to roll a ball up the hill. Okay, it's going to be work. You're going to have to push it hard to get it to go up the hill. All right. It doesn't tend to want to move up the hill. It tends to want to move down the hill. All right, so that's kind of how I want you to visualize the transport mechanisms here. All right, so what happens in active transport here, the molecules are going to move from a less crowded place, which is low concentration, to a more crowded place, which is high concentration. But in order to do that, they're going to need to have energy.